A MAC address is another type of security you can add to your wireless router. MAC address stands for Media Access Control Address, and as we'll see on the display, it's sometimes called the physical address of an adapter. Network adapters on computers are uniquely identified through a MAC address, or at least they're supposed to be. The MAC address is a 12-digit hexadecimal number that manufacturers assign when an adapter is manufactured. So how do we see that? Well, I've brought up a DOS window here, and I've entered ipconfig/all. It's a DOS command that will display the adapters and network configuration information for the network adapters on your PC. I'll press enter here and show you what comes up. Get some basic information about the Windows IP configuration, and then below that, for each adapter, there's information listed relating to its IP configuration. IP address, for example, and others. The other information that we're interested in for the MAC or physical address is this 12-digit hexadecimal number. Now, as I said, this number is supposedly set up to uniquely identify each network adapter. Part of the number is the manufacturer's code, and the other is the unique or sequential number assigned by the manufacturer to each network adapter. Now, don't get too carried away with your new security capabilities here, in a sense that MAC addresses are easily spoofed, or in other words, you can fool devices into thinking you have a different MAC address. It's just another layer of obscurity that you can add to help hide your wireless network. So let me copy this particular MAC address for this wireless adapter, and I'll use it in setting up our wireless router here in just a second. So I've done an edit mark and an edit copy, and now I have the MAC address, and we'll use that to set it up in the wireless adapter. Here we are back at the setup screen on the wireless router. Remember that I looked on the DOS window and copied out the MAC address of the adapter, the wireless adapter for this PC. So from here, let me select the wireless link or tab and bring up that group of settings for this particular router. And then we'll go over to the one labeled Wireless MAC Filter. Notice when I select on that window, there are a set of radio buttons here that enable or disable, and the default is disable, the wireless MAC filter for this particular router. So I'm going to click Enable. That brings up some other options that we see here, and notice you can provide this in a prevention or permission type of mode, where you can say prevent PCs that I've listed from connecting to this wireless router, or permit. So I'm going to take this approach. I'm going to say that I want to allow only the PCs that I have authorized to access this wireless network via the MAC addresses that I set up. The next setting that I'll do is actually put the MAC addresses in, and that's where this button comes in, which lets me enter those. It's Edit the MAC Filter List. Once I've clicked that, it brings up this separate window, and in this window I can enter the MAC addresses of the PCs that I want to allow to connect to this wireless router. Now notice that the instructions up here say enter the MAC address in this format, and that shows all 12 digits together with no separators. Now off my DOS window, when I copied those a few minutes ago, remember that there were dashes separating them. I've also seen colons used as a separator. But all I need to do is bop in here and take all the dashes out, and I'll have my MAC address in there in good format. And then I can scroll down and click Save Settings. Now I have that set up, and when I click Continue, it'll of course provide you that MAC address. Notice it does use colons for separators here between the digits in this particular list. Once I close that and get back to the router here, it is now set up such that the only device at this point that connect to that is this particular PC that can connect wirelessly using this MAC address, or of course some hacker that can spoof this MAC address. Alright, the last thing we want to discuss is the encryption system of securing your wireless router. And on the Linksys modem we're using here, notice there's a link entitled Wireless Security, and when you bring that up, it provides a drop-down list here entitled Security Mode, and you'll see in the drop-down list that there are different selections you can make regarding the security mode for this particular router. Now, at the beginning in the overview, I mentioned the WEP, which is Wired Equivalent Privacy, and WPA, which is Wi-Fi Protected Access. I didn't really talk about Radius. That's another option where there's an external server or router or other device that provides further authentication for your security on your systems. It may include things such as fingerprint readers, retinal scanners, encryption key generators, and things like that. Not something we're going to set up today. And then, of course, you have WEP and 2 or 3 different flavors of WPA here. WPA2 is a later version of WPA, and if you have that, you should use it. If you don't have any WPA options at all, and all you have is WEP, you may read about on the internet that it's virtually worthless and can be easily penetrated, and that's probably true. But if it's the only option you have, I'd recommend that you use it. It provides another layer of security on your system that is something else that someone who wants to hack your system would have to go through. And so, as I said, if it's the only option you have, use that one. They both work similarly in a sense that selecting WPA or WEP lets you enter a key which you will use and share with clients that you want to be able to connect. The main difference for WPA2 is that it kind of does a rotating encryption process that generates a new key for each transmission, whereas WEP does not. It remains relatively static, and hence it is more easily penetrated. The option here determines what kind of algorithm that WPA is using, and I'm going to stick with the default here, which is to use TKIP plus AES, or the Advanced Encryption System. And then you just type in a key that you will share with your clients. I would advise a random sequence of characters, and you may find programs on the internet to help you generate shared keys, and it will use this to generate your key. I mean, literally, you can need to type something you can remember, but of course type something in, and that's what you'll share with your clients in order to be able to connect. Once you click Save Settings, then you're good to go and your system is already set up. After the settings have been saved, and you'll have to set up your clients to connect with the same type of security mode and with the shared key that you've provided.